anybody who watches me or I don't, it's a big thing, as I always say, like I don't craft messages for people to watch them who are not in my local community.
Yeah.
That's not my intention. If you do, you do. I don't really craft those messages for that purpose. I'm crafting it around what I feel like, God is saying to our church specifically. But what I would say is, I think that in that analogy, there is a spiritual warfare to what we do, but then there's also a hidden power to what we do. And as pastors, if we are not aware, most pastors are aware of the spiritual warfare. So you see, there's like two different kind of responses to whenever these major scandals or falls happen. One side of it is, people will lean over into impression management, right? So there's a bunch of, for every one fallen pastor, there's 1,000 great pastors, and the need to defend the institution, right? To kind of rally around the institution, protect the institution's credibility, but also protect your own bottom line, right? Because people will ask questions about your church because of someone else's situation, right? That's just a natural knee-jerk reaction a lot of people have, is just impression management. But so we'll acknowledge the spiritual warfare side, which I think is 1,000% true. I'm a Pentecostal. Come on, of course. Then there's another side of it, which is that
Pentecostal, the true Jedi pastor.
Definitely not. But then there's another side of it, right? And the other side of it is, there's a power to what we do. We have, by nature of the role, you are stepping into a role of unusual power and authority, unusual influence, by nature of simply being a pastor. And so I think the problem often lies is, we get into this thing and we think, oh, I'm going to protect myself against the unusual power and authority. I'm not going to fall into that. I'm not going to. And I think the better thing is, no, it was there when you arrived. It doesn't matter if you pastoring 50 people or 5,000. You have that. People literally hang on your words. You do a 40-minute lecture every week. You lead people, you encourage people. Some people make decisions about their jobs, their families, their relationships based upon what you say. People give money or don't give money based upon what you say. This is an unusual power for one person to have. If you do not establish and acknowledge that is unusual power, you will succumb to it. And I think this is part of using your analogy, is that when people are like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what we do. We're going to establish, okay, you want to hear, okay, you're good. Nah, this is some darkness in you. But we'll work that out. That's fine. There's some darkness in you, but we're going to work that out. It's cool. When you think you have grasped the power enough to wield it skillfully, you've missed the point. Like, you failed.
Right.
You think you wield it skillfully. No, you don't. Like,
that is the lesson.
It's always more than you. It's always bigger than you. It's always more challenging than you think. And it doesn't matter if you've been there for 50 years. Doesn't matter if you have a 10,000 member church. Doesn't matter if you've been there for 5 years and you got a 500 member church. It doesn't matter. It's too big for us. And I think that's a lot of the issue when we talk about failure or what's obsolete or what's not or what have you. It's just not acknowledging the power that's been placed in our hands and trying to figure out, how do we actively divest and actively transfer and actively redirect that power so that we do not hold it all. And this is the thing, if we hold on to it all, if we cling to that power, it will by necessity corrupt us. There's just no way around it. There's no way around it. We'll end up leading people, and we'll do it with the purest intentions. Do you know what I mean? People, like, this is the thing. Like, so when you say accountability is important, but like, I know a lot of white Christian nationalist pastors that have accountability.
This is what I was. Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, yo, what does accountability do if you haven't addressed your childhood trauma? What does accountability do if you haven't repented of your sin of xenophobia or racism or homophobia or whatever it is? So it's like, what does accountability matter if you're not doing the work? Like, so accountability, it like, what does that mean? Right. But I think
It's
honestly, if you
accountability to the
haven't
shared mission.
grasped
Like that's
exactly,
because that's what it is. And if the shared mission isn't truth, isn't following Christ, which I would argue from my vantage point, a lot of churches seem to get so far from that. Maybe they started there, but
yeah,
that's
of course, it's easy. Mission drift is real, man. Like all of
I
it.
think I think mission drift is natural. I just to me, I see this is the thing, and this is where I'm still at. I don't see it as not the natural growth of
Yeah.
any like ultimately where it goes.
And I think Beau, what's really fascinating about all of this is I've come to realize and embrace that what we do as pastors is very important, but we are not that important.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we do is important, but the importance is not within us.